Welcome, one and all, to another episode of The Daily Report with me, John Iadarola, and joining us once again, and I'm realizing only now as we go live, I'm gonna dial back this lighting, a little intense in my face here, but joining us with much better lighting, just chef's kiss, Francesca Fiorentini. How's it going, Francesca?
Thank you. It's going. It's good to be back. Thank you for having me. Everything is really bad. I just want to caveat the news that it's all awful.
Yeah,
and
it is.
That is why everyone should come see me do comedy in Pasadena, February 19th, 7:30 p.m. at the Ice House, guys. Let's throw down, laugh not to cry. I've got a great lineup. Gareth Reynolds of the Dollop podcast, if you listen to that amazing show. My husband, Matt Lieb, of course, Jenny Yang, Solomon Giorgio, just amazing comics. So come on down. Last time Dragon Squad rolled deep, it was really, really nice.
And it's nice to just have something not the worst thing you've ever heard happening.
Exactly.
So definitely do that. That's a great version of it. Another version I've been talking about recently is like when I talk about wrestling and people are like, "What do you care about that?" I'm like, have you looked outside your window? Do you have to ask why I want entertainment considering all that's going on? Why am I wearing a wrestler's t-shirt right now? Because it's all I have. But anyway, but if you're in the area, you can also have Francesca and her friends comedy. So
yeah, we'll wrestle.
They also occasionally suplex each other.
It looks like I'm wearing your same shirt too. We're very blue this Thursday.
Are you also prepared for Yeetlemania to start? You have no idea what I'm talking about. But anyway,
it's called Yeetlemania. That's amazing.
No, it's the Jey Uso's catchphrase Yeet, and it's WrestleMania, so it's Yeetlemania because he's gonna be there. Anyway, it goes deep culturally. I think I fixed my lighting. But anyway, thank you for being here. Despite the fact that we're being ridiculous, there's a lot of very important and serious stuff going on. I was out yesterday for my birthday. Thank you to Sharon and Jackson for holding down the show. I was at the aquarium with my daughter, who freaked out more than any child has ever freaked out over every fish she ever saw. She was just running around pointing. And it was
so
awesome.
Cute. That's amazing.
It was very fun. She loved it. And I had a number of birds land on me when I wasn't expecting it. And that was scary. I had Jurassic
good
Park
luck.
flashbacks.
You got good luck shat on?
I didn't. There wasn't any defecation. Well, not from the birds, maybe my daughter, but yeah, no, I did get landed on quite a bit. But anyway, we have a lot of news that we're talking about. I didn't get a chance for yesterday's show to talk about Gaza, so we will be talking about ethnic cleansing as the official position of the US government. That's fun. And a lot more besides. So hit the like button, share the stream. Lots to get to. Francesca, are you ready to do this thing?
Yes.
Okay, well, that makes one of us. That said, we're gonna go forward with the 50%. Elon Musk's move fast and burn literally everything, including the Constitution approach, might be unconstitutional. I'm hearing that what he's doing is neither legal nor constitutional. Wouldn't it be cool if we had a system where that was an issue? But I am hoping that someone will check him, and we're getting the first little rumblings of it, okay? A major coup for our side. They've got Elon Musk's coup. We've got Susan Collins, who is now concerned about the amount of power that's been given to Elon Musk. She says, there's no doubt that the president appears to have empowered Elon Musk far beyond what I think is appropriate. I think a lot of it is gonna end up in court. She also said that she was very impressed with his energy and dedication when she met him last year. I guess he had just done a couple of his big splayed belly exposing jumps or something at that point. So that's what we've got. One Republican senator says it'll end up in court, and she's not gonna do anything. She's just gonna let him continue to send in his no background check, no security clearance, 17-year-old wannabe hackers or whatever to, I don't know, maybe rob you of your Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Thanks, Susan Collins, you're the best. Now, the rest are even worse. So we have Senator Tom Tillis. He acknowledged that what Musk is doing is unconstitutional, which sounds like the beginning of a good paragraph, right? No, not so much. But quote, nobody should bellyache about that. The fact that what he is doing, the richest man in the world who bought Donald Trump of the Republican Party for $290 million in the last election is doing unconstitutional things, his word, but stop belly aching about the fact that we've given over our government to oligarchs. Okay, I'll stop complaining. Quote, that runs afoul of the Constitution in the strictest sense, but it's not uncommon for presidents to flex a little bit on where they can spend and where they can stop spending. That's supposed to be your job. That's the Congress thing, remember? Like when you got hired by your constituents to do a thing and now you're handing that over to Donald Trump, who handed it over to Elon Musk, who handed it over to like the mirror universe version of the Goonies. Do you remember you had a job? But no, so we're not gonna get anything out of them anytime soon. And by the way, he's still moving. So his Doge staffers entered NOAA headquarters. This is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. And they're doing cuts and threats. And so, our ability to understand the weather without having to go through a private company could be soon gone. Our preparedness for extreme weather events like devastating hurricanes could be soon gone, or route it all to the private sector, because why wouldn't it? I'm sure he'll end up getting the money for that. And so they just walked past security. Again, these guys who have not had any sort of background check, we're finding out more about them, and literally everything we find out is terrible and worrying. They said, get out of my way. And they're looking for access to the IT systems as they have in other agencies. They will have access to the entire computer system, a lot of which is confidential information, which obviously they do not have security clearances for.
Ooh, we're gonna learn about the Democrats' weather machine.
Exactly, yeah. So they're breaking the law right now. And honestly, like the best case scenario is 6 months from now, they've already put a number of worms and backdoors into all these systems. And then Elon Musk throws them under the bus and they go to jail for the rest of their life. That's like the best case scenario. It's gonna be like January 6th, but we probably won't even get that. And along the way, also, he's not just killing NOAA and now he's turning to Medicare and Medicaid. He's also, we find out, gonna be involved in US air traffic control. They're gonna plug in to commandeer our US air traffic control. Doge is. And so I understand I was out for a day. I thought the cover story for Doge was that they're gonna get in and find wasteful spending and get rid of it. And now they're contracting to do air traffic control coding. What does that have to do with anything? What does that have to do with anything that Elon Musk does, let alone what his band of incels do? And so I feel like I gotta catch up because I took a day off, Francesca, but what the hell is going on?
I mean, this is exactly what happens when tech oligarchs come to power, whether overtly or covertly, for decades and decades and decades. This is what they have been, sowing, and now they're reaping the benefits. And yes, so there's a number of things to say. I think the biggest one for me, John, is that this truly is, as folks are rightly calling it, a coup. It's an administrative coup. But the idea that these agencies, USAID, the Treasury, even NOAA, that you could just walk in and demand / take over IT systems and do massive data security breaches with no security clearance yourself is insane. And the fact that we don't have any protections, we have constitutional ones that are being litigated now. Obviously what they're doing is illegal, but I'm talking about if it's a coup, then the last line of defense is force. It's the military, it's security. And the fact that they are getting past all of that is wild. And it makes me think, John, the only reason coups haven't happened in the past is because no one just did it. No one just asked, no one just went through. And because we think our country is so untouchably perfect and our democracy is so ironclad that we didn't even bother to think, even despite a year of fear mongering about exactly what's been happening, that no one thought to maybe put in some extra protections in case this exact thing happened. I will say, yes, the Elon part is demonstrably worse. The Doge tweens are demonstrably worse, but this is still Project 2025. This is still hollowing out the federal workforce. The only difference is we didn't think it would be so blatantly in order to privatize it for the richest man in the world's gain.
Yeah, I understand why some of them like, hey, they're killing all foreign aid, and some people are really excited about that because they think that it's America and then a bunch of subhuman animals that cover the rest of the Earth's surface. So I get some of that. But the idea that so many MAGA people see the dismantling of the already limited capacity the United States government has to do anything to benefit them, that is going away. Their information is being stolen and they're cheering it. Although maybe not as many as you think, as we'll get to in just a little bit. But you can't even get senators. Like some of them won't be up for re-election for 4 or 5 years. And they can't pretend to have a backbone as all this is going on. Well, let's press forward and see what Trump thinks about all this. Take a look.
You talked a bit about Doge. Elon Musk is currently a, quote, special government employee who also owns companies that have billions of dollars in federal contracts. You said earlier this week that he has abided by all applicable federal laws, but what steps is the Trump administration taking to address that conflict of interest?
The president was already asked and answered this question this week, and he said if Elon Musk comes across a conflict of interest with the contracts and the funding that Doge is overseeing, then Elon will excuse himself from those contracts. And he has again abided by all applicable laws.
Yeah, Elon Musk also, by the way, has not undergone a background check or had a security clearance or literally any of the other stuff that MAGA would demand of every single person that works in a Democratic administration. So just be very clear about that in terms of him complying with laws and everything. But think about that. The official spokesperson for Donald Trump just said he's off doing stuff that Trump has no idea what it is. Trump doesn't understand the first thing about any of the work that's happening at any of these agencies, let alone what Doge is doing to undercut it. And if he comes across a conflict of interest, he'll excuse himself. Like Clarence Thomas or something, where we're supposed to expect. I thought this was supposed to be like a movement that was like questioning of the elite. So you're saying the richest person that's ever lived is going to choose not to do corrupt stuff totally willingly, and there will be no oversight to even see if he's chosen right or chosen wrong on those. Congress isn't gonna look to see if he's taken himself out of consideration for corruption or whatever. And the people he's sending around, he was trying to make sure you don't even know their names. They don't have to identify themselves to the media. They don't have to identify themselves to these departments. And so the official position of the Trump administration is you can trust the richest man in the world to not pursue his own financial interests over your interests. And they're fine with that. And Trump isn't even going to look, he doesn't even know. And he's already said, he said Elon Musk, quote, won't do anything without our approval, which can be read two ways. The first way that we talked about, but also whatever Elon Musk is doing, if he keeps the job, that has Trump's approval. Any of this nonsense is not just Elon Musk's doing, it has Trump's pre-stamp of approval. So just bear that in mind when your grandmother no longer gets, Medicare or Social Security checks.
Yeah, exactly. When people are dying, when the elderly are dying from a lack of Meals on Wheels access. I mean, it's incredible the idea that we still hold in this country that somehow the wealthy are benevolent. Not only put aside that they're smart or deserving, but that they are benevolent and self-regulating and actually very measured because they are the biggest hoarders of wealth in the world. Like that is insane what we give. And John, we're in like just such a different moment because before everyone was being cucked by Trump and it was like God, Emperor Trump. Well, now Trump, as we've documented for years now, is really not there. He's nobody home. And now the richest man in the world with less than $300 million, which for us is like chump change if we were to do the same thing to be able to buy the US federal government and put our own lackeys and our own little engineers, our own hackers in there, let's call them what they are. I mean, and now every Republican is not only living in the fear of Donald Trump. I mean, I don't have any sympathy for them, but they're living in the fear of the richest man on earth being able to easily anoint any kind of opposition to their seat. We're gonna replace you with somebody, and I can do that so easily with the amount of money that I have. Look at how I bought the presidency. So this is, I mean, it is the natural conclusion, let's be real, of the overturning of Citizens United. It's the natural conclusion of allowing dark money to go throughout and filter throughout our political system. And my God, if Democrats don't understand that the way forward is pointing this out, is pointing, and really, Not even pointing the unconstitutionality out, because guess what? People don't care about the Constitution. It's important legally to bring it up, to remember it and all this. But the fact of the matter is, he did it. He's doing it. So what are you doing? How are you protecting your constituents? How are you fighting back? And honestly, you said 4 years, John. I hear you when a lot of these senators are not up for your election, but guess what? They can also resign. We can make their lives so miserable that they resign.
Yeah, that would be delightful. I would actually go for that. But yeah, this is just so many of these MAGA people, like, you're not involved in the movement that you think you are. You think that you like are questioning of those who control things behind the scenes. Is it better when it's just not behind the scenes anymore? And they just literally buy an entire party? How is that good? You think you get to choose your representatives? No, not when Elon Musk can put $50 million into literally every election he wants to. You don't have any voice whatsoever. You think you're questioning of tech billionaires in particular, people who manage social media sites. No, they control your party. They're all buddies with Donald Trump.
Yep.
So again, you don't have the movement that you think you do. And what if you've been bought so cheap? All it took was Elon Musk posted some memes. And no, I liked his memes, and he doesn't seem to like trans people. So I think he can control literally everything. And I have no voice, I have no democracy, I likely have no financial future. I really like those memes that he stole from someone else on Twitter and reposted without attribution. That seems like a good deal, a good bargain for you. But anyway, as I alluded to earlier, this is having some sort of potential long-term negative impact on him. So let's jump to this. I think it's been pretty clear that I'm fed up with Elon Musk being involved in our government. Obviously, many people, Democrats, independents, you're not surprised to know, aren't a fan of Elon Musk having this much power. Even Republicans seem to be getting a little bit sick of it. And so if you take a look at this chart, I understand there's a lot of bars there, but it breaks down, the 4 different sets are different groups, all citizens, Democrats, independents, Republicans. And then each of the pairs are how much influence you think Elon Musk has on Trump. And then the second one is how much you want him to have. And look at that, 51% of US adults say he has a lot. Only 13% want him to have a lot. 13%, I mean, I'm sure they would say Taylor Swift would get 15% that they'd want to have over an administration. Even Republicans more believe he has a lot of influence than want it. And the thing about that is it has fallen. And so from polling just after the November election, those who wanted him to have a lot of influence, Republicans I'm talking about, was 47%. It's 26%. He's lost nearly half of the Republican desire for him to be really closely involved in determining what happens in the Trump administration. Virtually no Democrat. I mean, the 6% of Democrats that want him to have a lot of influence, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, are you having a stroke literally as you're being polled? But regardless, he's already stepped beyond what the Republicans want. And he's losing a significant percentage of the Republicans who are interested in him being involved because he sucks, man. He just sucks. He doesn't even have, like, I don't consider Trump to be charismatic. I always think that people have overplayed that or how funny he is or whatever. I've always disagreed with that, but people have often believed that. Musk doesn't even have a fraction of that. And so the fact that he wasn't actually elected, the fact that he constantly attacks the American people as being lazy and stupid and they need to be replaced by people he imports from other countries. A lot of this is stuff that doesn't just bother Democrats and independents, but should really bother Republicans. And it looks like that's starting to happen. So Francesca, what do you think?
I mean, you know how I feel about polling, and I mean, comparing Republicans' desired influence versus perceived, it's 35 to 26. You know, desired is 26 versus 35 is perceived. Like, it's very similar, right? And the other reality
was 47.
Yeah, I guess
3 months ago.
I guess so. I mean, it is, especially when people stop receiving, like, again, you know, SNAP benefits. That's gonna be very, very clear. But here's what we need to do as progressives, as leftists. We need to keep these two people as closely aligned as possible, truly, because Elon Musk is not going anywhere. Donald Trump is not gonna get rid of the richest man on earth. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? No, he's yes, exactly. Number one, he's scared of him. Number two, he's got money, and Donald Trump does not have a lot of money. So he needs him and he's not going anywhere. And so what we have to make sure to do is not drive a rift between Musk and Trump. It's to align them. I hate the poster. Like, I love everyone who's out there saying, we didn't elect Elon, nobody elected Elon, but still, don't do that. Don't say that. Republicans did elect Elon. Elon has been a part of this government and part of the plans. And like I said, Elon's basically carrying out Project 2025. Nobody elected Russell Vought, and that dude's probably gonna get confirmed tonight. And if any Democrat, Fetterman, votes for him, resign now. But like, this I think is really important to know, is like we have to keep the focus on both of the MAGA movement and the oligarchs, because they are one and the same. They are taking your Social Security, your Medicaid, your Medicare, your Meals on Wheels. They're taking your SNAP benefits. Right now, they're taking your Head Start benefits. So people are not able to send their children to daycare because the daycare providers don't know where their next paycheck is coming from. That is Elon and that is Trump.
Yeah. Yeah, and we need to continually ask them why they went from being infuriated that their tax dollars were going to Madagascar, and now they're totally fine that their tax dollars are going to Elon Musk. Why are you okay with your money being stolen to be given to Donald Trump's cadre of rich a-hole friends? Like, why is that okay? I'm not even talking about like indirectly, like literally, that's where the money is going. It's just what we can already see. God only knows what they're planting in those government systems. But I do just want to mention two more numbers, just things to think about as we go to our first break. So the first is, Francesca's right, although I will point out, going from 47% to 26 is a massive drop in 3 months. It's still pretty similar. Independents, 41% say he has a lot of influence. Only 6% want him to have a lot of influence. Independents hate this. They don't like it at all. 42% of independents don't want him to have any influence at all. None. And they're seeing every day the exact opposite of that. And so in terms of something that can potentially move the numbers on independents, this seems like about as big as I can imagine. And then the downside is this: Americans are divided in their interpretation of Musk's previous hand gesture after being shown a video of it. 42% say they interpret it as a quote gesture from his heart, while 37% describe it as a Nazi salute. Now, granted, 42%, what chunk of that do we believe are people who are Republicans and Musk fans, and they know it's a Nazi salute and they like that it's a Nazi salute, but they know they're not supposed to say that on a poll, and so they just say the lie one? That's got to be at least half of that, at least. But there are still some Americans that can look at that repeated Nazi salutes and be like, no, he was just telling them he likes them. Never underestimate how stupid we are.
He grunted. They're the grunt.
Yeah.
The grunt, John.
Yeah.
It's just such a giveaway. I could forgive a little extension. The grunt, the throwing.
Awkward grunt.
Boom.
Yeah,
boom,
like he was getting started on another kid that someday is gonna disown him. Like it was that kind of grunt.
Oh yeah, he hit that. Now that sounds awful.
Anyway, we're gonna take our first break. When we come back, we have some really important stuff to talk about, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Injustifiable says, I watched American History X last night. There was a Nazi salute in that, and they basically matched. Yeah, like the super crisp Nazi salute that what's his face did. I can't believe I'm blanking on the actor's name. I really like him, but yeah, that's what it was. That's 100% what it was. Absolute madness.
Edward Norton. Okay.
Edward Norton
says our producer, whose name I'm now forgetting. What's your name again?
Mike.
You
forget Mike. Mike, you know what? Not only is that your name, but I hope that you had the best birthday yesterday.
Oh my God, you guys do have the same birthday. Mike is such a stalker, dude. He does. Yeah, he made his birthday the same birthday as yours.
At first, I thought it was weird, but I kind of like it actually.
I'm so sorry, Mike.
Anyway, Mike, there were a lot of messages in the chat, particularly the Twitch chat, of people wishing you a happy birthday. By the way, I don't know if you saw that while you were in there, but a lot of people were wishing you a happy birthday. And Mike, like a trooper, worked on his birthday. He wasn't one of these lazy people that take their birthday off like me. So thank you, Mike. Okay, let's read a few comments and then we're gonna see what's going on. Todd, member for 21 months, says Elon, a foreign citizen, stealing access to classified info and infrastructure and doing damage. If only there was some sort of act against espionage. Yeah, by the way, there was a great breakdown of how they're shutting down. This was in the OPM, I think. They're shutting down specific new departments that were set up to help fight back against some of the foreign cybersecurity issues they've had, hacking of these government departments. They're now dismantling the teams that were providing new protections against that.
No.
So not only have they sent hackers in to these places, but they're weakening their ability to fight off foreign hacking attacks.
No, John, I mean, we knew that the American federal system in terms of data and security was already kind of shaky and that they were behind and all this. And so this is just absolutely terrifying. Like, it can't be understated from a data and security like point of view how much, when this, if it ever ends, we need to rebuild like, federal infrastructure around our own privacy and security, whether it be in voting or whether it be in taxes or whatever it is. And we need that to be a robust, like, Herculean effort. It's terrifying.
Yeah, it's insane. Jeff says, Mike, I want you to have such a happy birthday. I want you to go into over birthday. So it keeps going. I think until at least the weekend.
It's still your birthday. I feel like within birthday week, yeah.
Don Quixote gifted 5 memberships. Thank you, Donkey. Long Beach Dragon, welcome to tier 2 membership. Sailor Digurin, member for 4 full years, says, what are we supposed to do? Short of taking the law into our own hands, we can't do anything while the country is torn down in front of us. I'm sick of those with actual power doing nothing to stop it. Well, we have to do whatever we can to get those who are in a position to try to do their job. And people have been doing that. There are all these articles going around. I mean, look, some of the early stuff by the Democrats hasn't been amazing or whatever, but they're only doing even that because of the pressure they're getting. There was this Axios report that like they're getting like 40 times the calls they've ever gotten before. People like we were worried that everyone would go to sleep. Now, a lot of people in elected office have gone to sleep, but regular people haven't. They're back in it. They do not want this stuff to continue, and so I don't know what immediate impact that's gonna have, but that's what we can do, and we need to keep pressuring the Democrats to either do something or get the hell out of the way so that somebody who will act can do so.
Yes, I think you demand the resignation. I mean, there's too many people who voted for these ghouls, and they'll continue to do so. And also take the streets. That's the other thing. People are taking the streets. They're protecting themselves from ICE. They're protesting ICE. There's so many ways. Get involved in your communities. That's what we can do because no one is coming to save us.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. We'll be right back. Yeah, I don't want to get into a big conversation about this or whatever, but Chuck Schumer, you seem like a very nice guy. You kind of remind me in some ways of my grandfather. You seem like a nice guy, and you need to get the hell out of Democratic leadership. Like, what the hell? I mean, seriously, like I'm not even like, some people will be like D's about it. I'm not gonna like be a D about it, but like, you know deep down that you are not up to this task, and that's fine. I shouldn't be the Democratic leader of the Senate either, but neither of us should. You gotta step down, and whoever replaces you is not gonna be who I choose. It's just gonna be like the last election, but at the very least, maybe they'll have a little bit of energy, a little bit of passion. It's just every day it's a new press conference where I'm like, dear God, not only is this not a good way to check the Trump administration, you're just replaying why we lost the last time. And so please step down, please get out of there. And not just him, that's a good start. We'll get rid of him first and then more have to go. But that said, let's turn now to one of the most important topics of at least the horrors of this week. This is my first time back to the show since Donald Trump announced his new plan for the Gaza Strip, which is, I guess he just like Googled what's a war crime, what's genocide, and then I guess got ChatGPT to put together like a 5-week plan for it. Because that's all it is. It's ethnic cleansing. It's forced removal of massive numbers of people so the land can be expropriated and given to Israel or to, I don't know, European billionaires or to Donald Trump himself. And it's only getting worse over time because the reaction was obviously horrified by most people in the world, certainly all thinking people. And after having a day or two to like think about the plan for the first time, this is what he posted on True Social. The Gaza Strip would be turned over to the United States, which doesn't own it, to be clear, by Israel at the conclusion of fighting. The Palestinians, people like Chuck Schumer, you get it? He's saying that the Jewish senator is a Palestinian. He said this before because he doesn't want them all to die fast as quickly as Trump does. So he's a Palestinian. again, we're the ones focused on identity and all that, not them, would have already been resettled in far safer and more beautiful communities with new and modern homes in the region. Now you're probably wondering, what's that a reference to? Nothing. Nothing. He doesn't say what country that's supposed to be, where the 2 million new homes are gonna come from, nothing. They would actually have a chance to be happy, safe, and free. The US, working with great development teams from all over the world, I assume his company, would slowly and carefully begin the construction of what would become one of the greatest and most spectacular developments of its kind on Earth. No soldiers by the US would be needed. Stability for the region would reign. And that is, I've always said, the best way to get stability in an ongoing conflict is to ethnically cleanse one of the communities. And then you don't have one side of the conflict done. It's great. It's an idea I've heard before. Historically, there have been some leaders that have done that sort of thing. But anyway, so we're going to resettle 2 million people somewhere. Maybe the ocean, maybe a moon, I don't know. And then we won't even need any US soldiers, and we won't have to spend literally trillions of dollars. So MAGA, don't think about any of this. Don't think about how you consider this guy to be anti-intervention for the last decade or whatever. We're just gonna start a nation building exercise that's gonna make Iraq and Afghanistan look like a new McMansion development in like the suburbs of Houston or something. So that's all fun and totally consistent with what you thought you were voting for when you got him. And by the way, he says no soldiers now. He said when he first announced this, we'll do what is necessary. And if it's necessary, in response to a question about deploying US troops to the area, we'll do that. And it's not just him. Secretary Marco Rubio, Secretary of State, remember he's supposed to be the diplomatic one. He says Gaza must be free from Hamas. As Trump shared today, the US stands ready to lead and make Gaza beautiful again. Our pursuit is one of lasting peace in the region for all people. So the guy who stood on stage with Trump and made fun of his penis size is now just copying his slogan to justify ethnic effing cleansing. Francesca, I have a feeling you probably have thoughts about this.
Yeah, I mean,
is this worse than anything you imagined Trump proposing for Gaza? Because it is for me.
Well, so what's interesting about this idea, and the idea would be to forcibly remove 2 million Gazans or more, depending on whether or not he slipped up when he said 1.7, 1.8 million Gazans because of how undercounted the death toll has been. So that's, let's put the pin in that. But the thing about this plan is that it's an Israeli plan. It's what the Israeli government has wanted for a long time, which is to forcibly displace Gazans into Egypt, create some sort of what they call humanitarian corridor, whatever the hell that means, effectively a tent city on the border, which you could argue Gaza's already some sort of that. But specifically, it's not the moon, it's not Mars, it's the Sinai Peninsula, which really is a desert. There is nothing there. There's no infrastructure. So the idea would be to displace Gazans. You've been there?
Yeah, I've traveled through, yeah.
See, so like you saw, there's not even a Mickey D's or anything, no. But the idea is to put Gazans in tent cities in the Sinai Peninsula. This is an Israeli aim. And let's keep it 100. This was also something that the Biden administration spoke with the Israelis about, and that General Lloyd Austin was also speaking to Netanyahu and his counterparts about this very plan. It was very, very kind of low-key discussed. But again, these are people who could not, finally, eventually negotiate a ceasefire, which again, I think also is attributed to Trump's people coming in as well. So I just want to name, like, Biden was definitely better in that he wasn't full-throatedly saying we're going to literally displace everybody because it's nothing but rubble and this is not really people's homes and who cares. Biden wasn't doing that, but covertly the plan was, it seems, what Israel wanted, which was a US force. Now, the US force wouldn't have been boots on the ground, but it would be a US trained or US administrative sort of overseeing an occupation of sorts, right? So it's like, we'll train Egypt and Jordanian soldiers to run Gaza, right? Anyone but the actual Palestinian people can run Gaza. So again, this is just a plan that Bibi was able to meet with Trump and was like, here, say this. And Trump was like, yeah, okay. I'm saying it because I literally have no independent thought and I have no ability to parse this. Biden did parse it, but again, was having those conversations behind closed doors. I know it sucks to hear that, and I'm not someone who ever thinks that Trump is better. I think Trump is worse on this.
I think it matters to have the US president announcing it as his plan.
Absolutely.
And especially when it's coming off the back of him saying that we're going to conquer territory from Panama, we're going to conquer Greenland, we're also we're taking Gaza, it's ours now. I mean, look, this is peace. This is an end to chaos. This is what Donald Trump proposed. Having world powers now saying, yeah, no, I want that. That's mine, and I want that. And I like that.
And more than that, John, if you really, just like really quickly, to me, the biggest issue when you call him like anti-war or whatever, when anyone calls him that, no. Look at what they're doing to the narco war, right? Look at what they're doing to fighting so-called the war on drugs. They're classifying anyone who traffics drugs as terrorists. They're opening hundreds and hundreds of new fronts in the war on terror, except it's happening in this hemisphere. It's happening in this country. It's happening on the border with Mexico. So we will be in many other wars. There are a million new fronts, in addition to, again, as you mentioned, Panama, Greenland, and all this other dumb crap that he's doing.
When we were young, it was America is just gonna deploy troops all over the world for oil. Now it's for, I don't know, cheaper shipping costs. It's for minerals in Greenland. It's for, Mediterranean
stopping fentanyl, which is made in this country.
Again, all of this is just to enrich the wealthy, the US wealthy, the Israeli wealthy, whatever. And also, like, maybe there are some people who are like, they were defending the Israeli war effort the whole time, thinking this is about getting the hostages back. Nope. Like, at least just be willing to admit. Now, you don't have to admit that you believed it. Maybe you honestly believed that the government cared at all about hostages or whatever, even though they killed a bunch of them in the bombing. This is what it was. It was to wipe it out and set the stage to steal the territory. That's why they did it. Let's just be clear about that. One of the most utterly, intentionally horrendous acts of war that we've ever seen, intentional murder on a massive scale of civilians to justify further war crimes, the forced relocation of people, the end of a people, and the stealing of territory. As many people pointed out, the size of Las Vegas being stolen from a people to be given to another country so that the wealthy can benefit.
And I mean,
we're really fast, Francesca. We have to transition to this next bit, but we can keep talking about it. I think a lot of people are frustrated with the idea that Donald Trump is now openly calling for genocide in Gaza. Al Green, representative, has previously filed articles of impeachment against Trump. He is now planning to do that over this. He says injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere, and injustice in Gaza is a threat to justice in the United States of America. I rise to announce that the movement to impeach the president has begun. I rise to announce that I will bring articles of impeachment against the president for dastardly deeds proposed and dastardly deeds done. Now, look, I have been calling for the Democrats to do something. And so is this something that they should be angry about? Gaza? Yeah, 100%. It's utterly reprehensible. Is he going to be impeached over it? Obviously not. So I don't know. In this area, Francesca, what do you propose the Democrats do? What would you like to see happen?
I mean, this is just like, I'm sorry, but this is really pathetic to me. I think Donald Trump should be impeached for a million reasons, sure, including this one. Why not? How the hell was he even allowed to run again after what we saw in the first term? But this is exactly what I think a lot of Palestine activists, many of whom voted for Kamala Harris and advocated for others to vote for Kamala Harris, myself included, were saying about, democratic resistance to the atrocities in Gaza, and how once Donald Trump took them over, people would suddenly grow a spine. If you're gonna impeach Donald Trump, you should have also called for impeachment of Joe Biden, because greenlighting and aiding and supporting the ongoing genocide, and now there has been a ceasefire. And whomever gets the credit for that ceasefire, currently people are trying to move back into their homes. Yes, their homes, despite many of them being reduced to rubble in their homeland of Palestine. So like, again, and I feel like I get attacked from all sides on this because I try to have nuance and I try to see that, don't we realize how much Gaza fractured the Democratic coalition? Either whether you were someone who said, shut up, Trump will be worse, don't talk about it. Kamala's gonna, just shut up and vote for her. She didn't have to say anything different, to the people who are like, no, it's gonna be Stein, like, screw, the entire Democratic Party. And I'm someone who was like, no, we have to elect a Democrat if we want to continue to apply pressure, because Trump and Republicans do not care. Mike Huckabee thinks that, Palestinians don't even exist. These people wanna, they love anti-Semitism in the United States because they want all Jews to move to Israel so they can be killed. So like, but we all need to simmer down and realize it is war and militarism, whether it's supporting Israel, whether it's, failed wars in, I don't know, God damn it, Barack Obama's drone wars.
Good with names lately.
And on and on. I'm terrible with names. It's all just like one big,
I forgot Edward Norton, like you forget names, yeah.
Exactly. Well, the point is like, we need to break with US war and militarism. And even people who are mad at me from people who are more centrist to people more leftist, they understand this. And so let's just focus on like the real goal, which is getting rid of fascism, and breaking with war and militarism. When we run candidates, as we will see in 2028, right? When we have a candidate and a Democratic, a real primary, where do they stand? That is going to matter. And we need to hold their feet to the fire. We need a break with war and militarism.
Yeah, and look, I hope that some of the, obviously the American people through the course of the Iraq and Afghanistan conflicts got really sick of all this. It seemed like MAGA was gonna be against. This is why they like Trump, right? Because he's not like Lindsey Graham and all that. He's not trying to get, well, now he is constantly. And of course he is. Remember, Stephen Miller gave him a checkpoint list of how you do a fascism. And you have to do this sort of stuff. That's why every week he announces a new place we're going to conquer. Okay, and again, remember, we were told to feel bad about identifying this as the exact political ideology that it is. But I don't know, how do you fight back against that now with all that we're seeing? So anyway, good on Al Green. It's obviously he's not going to be impeached over it. Just Democrats just do literally anything. Just every once in a while, give me a little wiggle, let me know that you're alive. And with that said, we're gonna take a short break. More to come after this. Okay, so very briefly, I was getting a little bit worried about a rundown, but then I remembered we don't have an E block in the first hour. So we're actually good, everybody.
Who's the skip the D block dragon? I always remember that dragon name.
I know that's true.
My
but D block, we're gonna get to. We do have D block. Okay, let's read some comments. Kai sent a super chat saying, happy belated birthday, John, AKA Dragon Daddy. Also, I think the word you were looking for the other day is pathocracy. Is that government by the pathetic?
There's so many ocracies these days.
Personality disorders? I've never heard of that one before.
It's like kakistocracy and
a pathological minority. Yeah. Well, that's by the stupid, I believe. And so we definitely have that. We have basically all of the bad ones simultaneously. Melody Moonfire says in super chat, Fran, thank you for being a heroic badass and keeping us sane. And
thanks,
then it has an emoji of, I think, a Chinese food takeout thing, and then emoji of pasta.
That's me. That is, I will accept that level of, is that a hate crime? Can you hate crime emojis?
We're gonna look into it. Nick the Silver Flame Dragon says, if you hoard anything else, action figures, newspapers, magazines, cats, people think you have a problem. If you hoard money, you're a genius. Yeah, I posted something in Blue Social, Blue Sky a little bit ago about that. Like, we are all at the mercy of people with an addiction to pointless digital money that doesn't actually even exist and can't have any effect on their life, but they need it so badly that they will set fire to literally every one of us.
Yeah.
Now, 00 says in super chat, happy birthday, Mr. Blue Shirt. Whenever you have some time, check your Blue Sky. Hope you and Francesca have utterly spectacular days. I have opened it up and I will. I see I got a message from you and I will read it when I can. Thank you. C109 says, man, I love the damage report. Thank you, C109, I appreciate it. Vendoralia says, can I pay my bills on the honor system? No, if you want to get out of having to pay your bills, you need to send one of your interns into the credit card company and get control their payment systems and then rewrite the code to allow yourself to not get caught. But that's what they're doing. Flamingo Dragon says, you're both too professional to discuss this, but I must say Fran is not getting the likes she wants. It's the likes she very much deserves. Yes, we were paying attention. And I love Johnny Danger. Thank you, Flamingo.
Yes.
Okay, oh, there's a lot of messages today. Stabbity, stab, dragon, member for 18 months says, I did not see that salute coming. Some of them didn't even see it. So what name is so? He was doing a heart thing.
Don't worry, John, he'll do, if we know anything about Elon, he will do something else.
Oh, he has to do something worse.
You know, white nationalist-y, Nazi-y. Yeah. Just you wait, it'll happen again.
He's incredibly try-hard, incredibly cringy, and not nearly as smart as he thinks he is. It's not a good combination in terms of impulse control and that sort of thing. Sailor Gurin, we read your message. Thank you for your support. Wens Waldo, member for 38 months, says, woo, spending my birthday watching the two best hosts on TYT. Happy late B-Day, John. Fran, you're awesome on Zateo. Late here because I bought a house. That's awesome.
No big deal. Congratulations. That's huge.
These days.
And yeah, I have a really good friends who are born like yesterday and today. And then my brother's birthday is coming up. So I'm just like, are you an Aquarius?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me and Mike, Aquarius.
So much sense.
I don't know enough to say if it does, but I have.
Dreamers, stubborn little dreamers you are.
That sounds great. Let's see, me being me 24 says in a super chat, the way to get politicians to replace is to change your voter registration out of the party. I mean, I think you can all not be Democrats. I don't think that's gonna make Chuck Schumer go anywhere, but I understand your frustration. Okay, with that said, lots more news to get to. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back. Okay, I'm seeing some breaking news that a judge is ordering limited Doge access to the Treasury Department payment system records. First of all, again, they've already been in there for days.
Yeah, no, since last week, since like Friday.
Chugging Monster energy drinks and coding frantically with one hand. And so, yeah, that means what you think it means. So I don't know what that's gonna do. And also, like, I'm glad. I want judges to do this so that we can just get to the part where the Trump administration says the judges don't have any legions. They don't have tanks, they don't have planes, we're not gonna listen. And so let's see if they comply with this. They already said they're not gonna comply with the spending freeze thing that the judge ordered them not to. Anyway, let's turn to another crisis. Donald Trump is mid-rage on social media, and not about a new topic, but there have been new developments. And as a member of the media, I'm particularly worried about this one because one of Donald Trump's grievance categories is that he hates any media that doesn't constantly lick his feet, and he wants to destroy them. Damn the First Amendment, he wants to get rid of them, and he's working on that, particularly with CBS in this case. And so you probably remember, for literally months, he was so angry that Kamala Harris had an interview with CBS that was just mediocre. It wasn't terrible, it was just mediocre. And he was so mad about that he kept saying they had saved her in the edit or something like that. And so we're gonna turn to the actual evidence about this, but he's still posting about it, saying they defrauded the public by doing something which has never to this extent been seen before. They 100% removed Kamala's horrible election-changing answers. Let's pause there. Because I know that historically he's had a very hard time understanding who won elections. Trump, you won that election, okay? You won it. So if it changed the election, I guess she was going to win before they did this.
Yeah, did you
anyway,
change
and also,
the election?
To the never seen before, as we profiled at the time, Donald Trump's interviews and town halls with Fox News were frequently being edited. When he would go off on his old grandpa tangents and say insane and racist things, they'd cut it out. And we know specifically some of what they cut out because they cut it out for the Fox video broadcast, but did not cut out those same things in podcast appearances by the hosts when they put it on their own podcast. So the entire backdrop of this lawsuit against CBS and 60 Minutes is that he was having the same thing done very very intentionally by Fox News to actually make him look a little bit less deranged and brain worm ridden. But regardless, we go forward. He's saying this was election interference. It was election fraud. CBS should lose its license. 60 Minutes, the whole staff should be gone. The news show should be terminated. And then he goes on to talk about a political thing, which we will get to. We'll talk about that in a bit. Now, what CBS decided to do is, okay, we're just gonna release the entire thing with no edits to show you that we didn't save Harris or whatever. And so they did that, and it proved that. And Fox decided, and Trump decided, no, we're just gonna keep saying that they did it. And so Jesse Waters says, wow, we finally got our hands on the raw CBS News interview. They released it. He didn't get his hands, they gave it to him. And it did not disappoint. Okay, so he believes he has identified an example of where they stole the election from the guy who won the election and is president now with this.
We got our hands on the raw footage of Kamala Harris's 60 Minutes interview. Last October, in the heat of the election, Harris, Hail Mary with CBS. But the network was caught deceptively editing this answer. Watch.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening.
We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
But it seems that Prime Minister Netanyahu is not listening. The Wall Street Journal said that that your administration has repeatedly been blindsided by Netanyahu. And in fact, he has rebuffed just about all of your administration's entreaties.
Well, Bill, the work that we have done has resulted in a number of movements in that region by Israel that were very much prompted by or a result of many things, including our advocacy for what needs to happen in the region. And we're not going to stop doing that. We're not going to stop pursuing what is necessary for the United States to be clear about where we stand on the need for this war to end.
Oh no, they cut out the bit where she thought for a second and then gave the same answer that was in the final thing. That's the most common normal. We do that every single day with the SOTs that we show in the show. We start the SOT where the point is made. That's what they did. That's what they, my God. Look, here is a fundamental problem with all of this. They can just lie. They can lie because they know their base doesn't want to know what is true. They want to hear the lie. And we've got that on the Politico thing too. But coming out of this, that first message, Francesca, that we sent, that's what Trump said after they released the full thing. He said they deceptively edited it. They released the full thing. They didn't deceptively edit it. And he comes out of it saying CBS should lose their license. They should not be allowed to be media anymore. They called his bluff, and it doesn't matter. The president of the United States, with his chosen state media of Fox News, are saying that a rival news network should be wiped from the face of the earth by the US government. What do you think?
I mean, this is the problem with issues like this, right? Is that we have to be squarely attacking, in my opinion, Democrats from the left and not from the right. I don't believe in revoking CBS's news license and this lawsuit and the insanity, and it's over what? An edit of a person that you beat in an election, right? Like that it's nonsensical. But I remember this interview. And it sucked. It sucked edited, and it sucked even harder unedited. Let's be real. She had no answer. It was a terrible answer. She should have just lied. She just should have said, that's completely false. We've made a lot of progress with Bibi Netanyahu. We have, revoked 2,000-pound bombs. Lie. I mean, they did do that, but like, just say that you're working on it like you always said. Instead, it revealed the truth, which is they hadn't been doing enough. They were being run circles around by Bibi Netanyahu, who wanted Donald Trump to win instead of her. News just broke now that Bibi gave Donald Trump a golden pager as a present. You know what that means? That's an homage to the thousands of people who were killed and maimed in the pager exploding incident in Lebanon, right? So this is clearly a problem with the Democratic Party and the Biden administration that allowed Bibi to run circles around him, and Kamala's terrible answer, which once again, it doesn't matter that they edited it. It was bad then, it's still bad now. Is just revelatory about why this was a losing issue and why they needed to break with this militarism and just change it up.
Yeah, it's just, again, he has, like, if you're Fox News, like, what now? You tell his lie. Jesse Waters could be like the head of the Department of Energy in a month. Like, again, CBS is doing propaganda by cutting out her stumble. Trump has a revolving door where he gives jobs to his state media.
Exactly.
Okay, well, look, we'll get to the political thing maybe on tomorrow's show, but we first have to jump into this.
The gentlelady has used a phrase that is considered a slur in the LGBTQ community and the transgender community. And let me please finish without interruption. And
I don't really care. You want penises in women's bathrooms, and I'm not going to have it.
Okay.
No, thank you.
You can probably tell by how utterly awful that was that Nancy Mace is back in the news, shouting an anti-transgender slur over and over and over because she understands that that is all that she has and that's all that she is. Her entire life leading up to this point has led to her getting attention by shouting slurs.
Mm-hmm.
She's someone's daughter. I have a daughter. You told me, like, that's all my daughter's ever gonna amount to, is she's just gonna shout tranny over and over and over so that people will donate money to her so that she can get reelected to shout more slurs. That's sad. That's like a Lovecraft story. That's cosmic horror. But anyway, she did that in response to discovery that US aid had funded gender affirming care in Guatemala. And so she said, in her words, paying for trannies in Guatemala to the tune of $2 million. And I guess it gets worse. Like, he's gonna try to push back a little bit, but take a look at the clip.
to me, a slur is a slur. And here in the committee, a level of decorum requires us to try consciously to avoid slurs. You just heard the gentlelady actually actively, robustly repeat it. And I would just ask the chairman that she be counseled that we ought not to be engaged. We can have debate and policy discussion without offending human beings who are fellow citizens. And so I would ask, as a parliamentary inquiry, whether the use of that phrase is not, in fact, a violation of the decorum rules.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not going to be counseled by a man over men and women's spaces or men who have mental health issues dressing as women. I'm not being counseled by some guy.
My inquiry is to the chairman,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Order. The inquiry is about decorum. Decorum is at the discretion of the chair.
That's
I will be
mansplaining,
honest,
Mr. Chairman.
with the ranking member. I'm not up to date on my politically correct LGBTQ terminology. We'll look into that and get back with you on that. I don't know what's offensive.
Yeah, he doesn't know. Comer doesn't know that a congresswoman shouting tranny over and over again is offensive. It might be offensive, it might not be offensive. Remember, none of these people have any power anymore. They've given it all to Elon Musk. This is, I guess, what they have to spend their time on. And Nancy Mace, that utterly pathetic thing of, he's trying to mansplain me about men and women's space. We literally weren't even talking about bathrooms. Your little cover story that you think finally puts you on the side of women, quote unquote, in your mind. They weren't talking about bathrooms. They weren't talking about penis. They weren't talking about literally anything like that. You just started shouting tranny. That's all you did. And I will remind everyone, as I always will, she once tweeted, "I strongly support LGBTQ plus rights. No one should be discriminated against. Religious liberty, gay rights, and transgender equality can all coexist. I'm also a constitutionalist. We have to ensure anti-discrimination laws don't violate religious freedom." So she gave herself a little bit of wiggle room at the end, but nothing about protecting women or because she hadn't landed on that cover story yet. Like she, I guess, didn't believe what she was saying then any more than she believes what she's saying now. It's so utterly pathetic and gross, Francesca. What do you think?
It's just, in one particular way, obviously Nancy Mace is disgusting. And yeah, you're 100% right about she has nothing, so she's using slurs. But that exchange is so critical to see the resistance to the bad faith use of slurs, the deliberately provocative use of slurs, where Jerry Connolly is like, this is about decorum and we have decorum in this body and we should not use those terms.
Yeah.
This is the problem. Decorum is 2% of this. 98% of this is human rights for all people. And we understand that within Project 2025 and we're gonna talk about Trump's early executive orders, is trying to eliminate the existence of trans people from this country and from the world writ large. Speaking of Guatemala, this is the point, is going after trans people. So I'd like to hear Jerry Connolly say that this is all a part and parcel of dehumanizing our fellow Americans and people who live in this country who are absolutely, deserving of full citizenship and full rights. And sorry that it triggers you that they exist. Their existence is not political and on and on and on. Instead, it's decorum to not being able to use the word. And this is the other point. You don't have to say a slur to read the executive orders and see what this administration is doing. The whole thing is a slur. The whole thing is a slur against Black Americans, against women, against transgender people, against gay people. The whole thing is a slur. So I'm more concerned with what are you doing in policy, not just the decorum of not being able to say that word.
Yeah, no, you're 100% right. I mean, this is just the in your face version of what they're doing. Like Trump's executive orders are obviously far more damaging and systemic. I think both are a reminder in this because she can't go a day without doing this, because Nancy Mace cannot draw attention by doing something productive. She knows that she can't. She knows she doesn't have the intelligence or the work ethic or whatever. She knows this is the only thing she can do. But this is what the right has for you, MAGA world, an utter, unending 24/7 focus on identity. And that is it. That is it. Things are gonna get so much worse for you and your families economically, but along the way, they're gonna say tranny a bunch. They're gonna shout that at you. And maybe someday you'll lose your home or whatever. And you can console yourself with the fact that you're now free to shout tranny. And so, you lose your home, maybe you can't retire or whatever, can't afford health insurance, but you can shout that in a Starbucks. And so, you win some, you lose some, I guess. But anyway, utterly gross. And we can't go a day without being reminded of it. And with that said, we do have to take a break. We're over on the first hour. Apologies, producer Mike, for that. But thank you, everybody. More to come in the aftermath, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Okay, so they're trying to make me feel bad about the fact that I've gotten really into decluttering and cleaning or whatever, but I'm pretty sure it's a psychological defense mechanism, because when you can't control anything that's happening in your country, but you can really organize the hell out of your bathroom vanity.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
what I've got.
Oh, I 100% agree.
Anyway.
Or you're getting your period. That's when I know. When I know I'm getting my period, I'm like, why am I wiping on, like, cleaning every single like spice in the closet, in the cabinet, or whatever the hell.
That also could be what it is for me. It might not be political. But anyway, I'm gonna read a few comments and we're gonna jump into some news, of which there's a lot. Benjamin Morrill gifted a membership. Why am I surprised? Benjamin Morrill always gifting those memberships. Thank you so much. Bianca says in a super chat, happy birthday again, John. Franny, please find time in your busy schedule to make days for your comedy in Austin. Want to see you live.
Dude, I would love to go to Austin. It's gonna be Seattle this year for sure, and Toronto most likely.
Nice.
So we'll see if we can squeeze in Austin.
Ray Rowland said some reference about getting live TDR shows at Guantanamo Bay. I mean, well, to be fair, it's more likely we would be sent to that super prison in El Salvador, because U.S. citizens.
Oh, but we can definitely sell out a show in El Salvador. Let's go, San Salvador.
That'd be awesome. By the way, it was super fast. We're gonna move on to other media stuff. Somebody in the chat was like angry that we were covering the CBS thing, and like I get that there's a lot happening. It's the president of the United States threatening to pull the broadcast licenses of decades-old media networks. I'm a member of the media. You're free to not want me to care about him doing to the media what they're doing to literally every other part of our government and our society. They're setting up concentration camps in Guantanamo. You think I'm not going to be concerned about what they might do to media outlets that are critical of them? Again, people have said that I'm exaggerating and all that. I don't know. He just said they're going to ethnically cleanse Gaza. I feel like, I don't know, the thrust of history is on my side in this, in terms of maybe it's okay to freak out. But anyway, thank you as always for your feedback. And with that said, we're gonna talk a little bit more about the media, the propaganda side of it, starting with this.
To say that we ought to base hirings off of competence and merit. And that's it. And it's crazy that we even have to say that sort of thing when you are hiring someone for any other reason than you are doing a disservice to the public.
I will never get tired of playing that clip. That's Lara Trump, and if you've been paying attention to the news, you probably know where we're going with this, but here's the issue, okay? Since Donald Trump has poached like half of Fox News's hosts to fill positions in his administration that they're not remotely qualified for, Fox needs some new hosts, and it turns out there's someone who actually could use a job. Lara Trump. My View with Lara Trump is expected to air soon on Saturdays, 9 p.m. Eastern on Fox News. And it will include a mix of analysis and interviews with influential figures. And so, if this strikes you as odd, no, you're right. We've never before had a member of the president's family just having a news show while the president is in office. But of course they would. They literally now control the Department of Transportation, the Department of Defense, are just bozos from Fox News. And so why wouldn't members of his family not brought what? Like, honestly, Trump promised that he would cut out the middleman. And up until now, you've had these Fox hosts sucking up or just sucking Donald Trump, but not being part of his family. Why not just have his family be the media? It's got like strong Hussein vibes that I really appreciate. It's a throwback to a couple decades ago. And so, yeah, it's gonna happen. And obviously the CEO of Fox News, they need to provide a little bit of a better cover story for the fact that they're turning their network into North Korean state media. So Suzanne Scott says, Lara was a total professional and a natural when she was with us years ago. She's very talented and is a strong, effective communicator with great potential as a host. She's the president's daughter-in-law. That's why she's getting the job. That's why she's gotten all of her jobs. That's why she has the show that she has right now. That's why she was the head of the RNC. That's why she was even briefly in consideration to be the next senator from Florida. It's all just DEI for Trump family members. Francesca, what do you think?
Mediocre white people, like Jasmine Crockett rightly said and should never back down from. I mean, you just always have to put the shoe on the other foot here, right? Like, if Ashley Biden got a job at MSNBC or CNN, we would just never hear the end of it. Ever, 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 ever. But it just washes over people, and it truly doesn't even matter at this point. And as you pointed out, it's like, it's just finding a place. I mean, all of these things are just charity for Trump, either former or current, wives. Guilfoyle gonna be out in Greece, maybe. Lara Trump now finding a home at Fox News. It's truly just, please, daddy, find me a little place. And that's the other thing that's so sad about this. Is just like, it's also just like, how like finding women, like plugging them into little spots and this and that, and it's just so pathetic. But again, like, did you really need a Trump in your lineup to run cover for the Trump administration? I guess so. It really is just a charity case that the Murdoch family has extended to Trump. I don't know. Maybe they're gonna patch things up, John. It's I hope that she sings her own intro music.
Oh my God.
It's gonna be really low. I really hope she does.
I don't want to see that. And look, I'm not a big fan of Lara Trump. I'm not saying that she hasn't like paid her dues or whatever. And I'm not talking about the fact that she was once a correspondent to Fox News. I mean that she has had to many times repress the natural human reaction to shudder when you're touched by Eric Trump. But anyway, no, it's just, if Hunter Biden's wife was given an MSNBC show, like, come on, MAGA, that you would hate that. That would be absurd. I don't even like, and by the way, to be fair, I don't like that Jen Psaki has a show on MSNBC. And she wasn't even blood related to Joe Biden. I think all of this is gross and incestuous. But it really sucks that at the same time that all these newspapers are bowing down to Donald Trump, and all these social media sites that are the only place that a lot of independent media can actually exist are bowing down to Donald Trump, the ones that remain are they're racing with each other to hire his family members so that maybe then their other hosts can get into the administration.
Yeah.
This is gross. Like, I honestly think this is beyond North Korea at this point. I think they're actually treading new ground.
I mean, it's also just interesting. We're in a time when, like, just a few months ago, Olivia Nuzzi was fired by New York Magazine for her relationship with RFK Jr. I mean, Fox News doesn't even try to do journalism, but like, if it did, do you understand how important it is to have, not that intimate of a relationship with the source that you're going to be reporting on? Does that make any sense? Is the importance of independent media, does that ring for any MAGA? Like, do they get why that's important? Because when you say North Korea, I don't know if they understand like what you're talking about. We're talking about just state-run media where all they do all day long is like, what an amazing day it is because Donald Trump is alive. Like, it's just the RNC 24/7.
Yeah, and that is sad. The further level is, it's incredibly sad that there's people who want that.
Yeah.
Lots of people, most people that watch mainstream news want that.
And they want to be lied to.
Lara Trump. Yeah, they want to be lied to. They want to have their hair lightly stroked and told that they're the bestest boy and girl. And it's really, really sad. Now, let's move on to something else that's sad. I'm gonna do my best to analyze this story. If I make a mistake, I apologize. My brain is mostly plastic at this point. Let's jump into this. A new study suggests that the levels of microplastics in the human brain are rapidly rising. But don't worry, we're gonna have RFK Jr. soon, so we're all gonna be healthy again. So take a look at this chart. And this is microplastic levels in brain samples. And the green bar is 2016. The blue bar is 2024. That is just 8 years. And the brain one has not quite doubled, but nearly doubled in just 8 years.
Oh my God.
And so, we spend a lot of time culturally focusing on like, notable people who have like worms in their brains, but we all potentially have plastic worms in our brains. And so I learned some stuff from this. I learned that we consume 5 grams of microplastics each week. That's a lot. I feel like that's too many. And our brain seems to contain higher amounts of it than other organs. That figure has nearly doubled in 8 years, as I said. And so that means that at any given time, on average, you might have about a spoonful of microplastics in your brain.
A spoon?
So that's
what kind of spoon? A big spoon, like a soup
not a big spoon, little spoon, bad spoon, a plastic spoon anyway. And so they mostly come in the form of nano-sized shards or flakes of polyethylene, which is used in plastic bags, plastic food wrapping, and plastic water bottles. And I just want to be clear, when there was a big spate of libs saying, hey, maybe we shouldn't have the plastic bags everywhere, every right-winger in the country said, get off our back with your big government. But now you guys are all MAGA, and even Joe Rogan can probably agree that it's a bad thing that our brains are half plastic at this point. Why is it that it's only acceptable to care about any of this once a bro podcaster said it's cool? Anyway, and so look, this is all bad, but it's not 100% bad. There is some indication that our bodies aren't building up the brain plastic gradually over the course of our whole life. So maybe we've sort of capped out where we have about this much brain plastic, but we excrete it over time. So it's not like your brain is gonna be 90% plastic by the time you're 80. I don't know. That's the good news, Francesca. What do you think?
There's a million ways to cut down on all of this. Try not to buy things in plastic. I know I live close to a Trader Joe's, so it's very difficult. They sell truly everything in plastic, but try not to get your veggies and your fruits and get them, not in plastic. That goes a long way. Don't drink out of plastic water bottles, which is hard considering sometimes our water sources are contaminated from, wildfires and things like this. But there are like good filters that you can use. There's a bunch of ways you can help. I'm gonna sound really Maha when I say this. I never do this, but apparently like sauna and sweating is like a good way to get toxins out of your body. So take that for what you will. If you go to a gym and there's like a sauna, use it. Even, just don't make eye contact with people, but like that is a way that you can apparently excrete some of these toxins. Yeah. Who knows, John? Maybe it's making us better. You never know. Maybe it's actually making us smarter. As she forgets who Barack Obama was.
But I'll end with, I think, a good question from the audience. Secret Cat Base says, wouldn't the brain-blood barrier block it though? So there's this thing around our head that blocks quite a bit from getting into your brain. And no, it does not appear to be effective in stopping these nanoplastics from getting in. That's another scary part of this. It does not actually protect against that. Anyway, with that said, let's move on to our final story and just have a little bit of fun for a few minutes. I do want to let you know we will be doing members content. We're gonna be talking about Google making a potentially lethal change to their mission as a company. They'd previously ruled out working on AI in weapon systems and things like that. Yeah, we're done with that. They're now going to be weaponizing AI, including with one country's military. They're already setting up contracts. So we'll be breaking all that down in our members content coming up after the show. But first, let's jump to this. A well-known state-level MAGA Republican is not happy at all after he found out that he's not necessarily as above the law as he thought that he was. And so in this segment, we're gonna be talking about Mark Fincham, a far-right Arizona state senator and Trump ally who recently, that's a hell of a picture right there. But anyway, he recently had a run-in.
Look at that backdrop.
Yeah, it's so like, 8th grade school picture and you get the cool background.
Yeah, I want the teal.
Yeah, somebody has to Photoshop in the lasers. But anyway, so he had a run-in with the police. So he was pulled over for speeding, 48 and a 30, which that's quite a bit above the speed limit there, buddy. Anyway, he tried to get out of having to deal with that by citing the Arizona state Constitution. And so this isn't like a just in the moment thing. Like he really seems to have thought that he had something going. So he receives a ticket. He drives to his destination and then he puts out a statement about the run-in that he just had. It says this: I am sure you know, and maybe the officer does not, that the Arizona legislature is in session. Under Article 4, Part 2, Section 6 of the Arizona Constitution, quote, members of the legislature shall be privileged from arrest in all cases except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, and they shall not be subject to any civil process during the session of the legislature, nor for 15 days next before the commencement of each session. I ask that the citation be be voided and stricken from the record. And so, look, if you're supposed to be part of like, the law and order party, it doesn't look good when you're like, no, I'm literally free to crime because I'm a legislator. So that sucks. An Arizona attorney put it this way: he's not arrested, and that's very important to understand. The issue of a citation is not an arrest. Boo hoo, you got a ticket. It's a civil citation. Grow up, be a man, be a real Arizona citizen, Senator Fincham. And so anyway, they did end up dismissing the citation without prejudice. So they could refile the case if they wanted to, but they won't. Look, I love reminders like this, that at the end of the day, this movement, which claims constantly to be about sort of challenging the status quo, challenging the establishment, they just want to get into the status quo and the establishment so they can personally enrich themselves, be free from legal consequences for the crimes they commit. And so they just constantly remind us, they really do desperately want to be a sort of like aristocracy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think it's important to say that they are against the status quo because it is too favorable to ordinary people like you and me. The status quo is, the Civil Rights Act. The status quo is having inclusive programs, that don't discriminate against Black people, women, disabled people, right? That's the status quo that they hate. What they want is actually untouchability, as you said. They want it to be a protected class because they were elected. And that, again, John, let's be real. Being an elected official is the last place that criminals can still get hired. We've seen this with Matt Gaetz, and it continues to be true. And so that's the other thing. It's like, please, I can't face the music until I kill someone with my car for speeding that much. And you're like, okay, is that what you want? But yes, I love the idea that it's like, unhand me, sir. And it's like, this is a citation. Calm, you parked in a red zone. Calm down. Like,
yeah.
You're, and of course it was dropped.
Yeah, I know, utterly frustrating. I'd sort of, I guess, consoled myself after all of the Trump is king stuff from the Supreme Court that like, at least some of the underlings, there could be consequences. But now with the pardons and with this sort of thing, like it is us against them. And too many of us secretly just, they actually do support them. They think that them is on us's side. And it's just, they constantly tell you every day that they're not. When are you gonna wake up? Anyway, that is unfortunately all the time we have for the show. We're gonna be doing our members content, which is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna read just a couple quick comments. Starshine Song had said, if you haven't watched Fran's new Zateo show, check it out tonight. It's been great, good discussions. Hope John is on it again soon. I wasn't on it.
Oh, you weren't on it. But if you want to come on, we'd love to have you. Yes, America Unhinged.
Actually. But anyway.
Don't get me started. No. America Unhinged, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern with Wajahat Ali on Zateo's YouTube channel. Thank you so much. Check it out.
Yeah. Finally, Meowster the Meowing Dragon member for 40 months says, I was wondering, John, what's the best way to send you articles? There's 2 articles I've been hoping you would cover. Also, I stand with Francesca. Thank you. You can send articles to, generally, like I would DM them on Blue Sky. I do not check social media frequently. And so if I take a week or something, I apologize. I'm not frequently on social media, particularly to check messages, but feel free, you can certainly try. And thank you as always. With that said, we're gonna go do our members content. Tomorrow, is Brett here? He is this week, right? Yes, okay, he's gonna be taking some time off in the near future, but he'll be here. We'll be doing our garbage people. Go vote for the community garbage person of the week. For now, stay safe out there, stay sane out there. We'll see you soon.